In this video, we will show you how to replace your rear coolant hose connector T on this Chevy Tahoe. This will be located along the passenger side firewall of your engine compartment. Let's get into it. Okay friends, let's get started on our job. Make your way over to the coolant recovery tank. Make sure it's cool to the touch. Carefully open the cap by turning it counterclockwise and remove it up and away from your face. Give the cap a quick inspection, make sure that the seal is in good condition. Go ahead and set that cap aside and make your way under the front of the vehicle. Now from underneath the driver's side front corner of your vehicle, you're going to be looking for the radiator drain. That's this area that has a little white turning knob on it. Just off to the left of that knob, there's a small tube that protrudes out from there that you can add a small hose leading down to your collection bucket to help prevent making a mess. Now as we open this, keep in mind that coolant is a chemical. You want to be extremely careful not to get it in your eyes or in your mouth. We'll open this up and allow the coolant to drain. Now that this is at a steady trickle, we'll just go ahead and close off that drain. Make sure it's nice and tight. You don't want this leaking on you once you have it refilled. At this point, I'll just remove that diverter hose and we can get out from under the vehicle. Now that we've drained the coolant, let's go ahead and follow this coolant hose up to where it connects onto the T. To remove the hose from the T, you're going to find that you have two little white ears to grab onto, squeeze them together, and then gently pull the hose off of the connecting T. Once you have that off of there, it's important to make sure that you inspect this area. Inside of there should be a gasket. Make sure it doesn't look torn, worn, or damaged in any way. We can set this aside. Once you've done that, the next thing you want to do is remove the lock from this area as well, because we will be reusing that. To remove this locking clip, you can use an angled pick. We'll carefully get underneath each one of these ears and gently pull this out of place. Try to get this other one as well. And now we can put it in place in the hose. Make sure you align your locking tabs with their corresponding slots in the hose itself and slide it into position. Listen for a click, go ahead and give that a tug. Now we can move along to our next connector. This is the one that leads down to the lines that lead to your rear heating system. We'll squeeze on those two ears to release the lock and then pull the line out of place. There we are. Now we can follow that connecting T to where it connects onto the heater core tube that's coming through the firewall. This locking tab is going to be the hardest to gain access to. Just carefully reach back there, grab onto those two tabs, and then gently pull the T out of place. Before we continue with the installation process, let's make sure we clean and inspect both of those tubes. You want to make sure they're not corroded or damaged in any way. All right, friends, let's get ready for the installation of our brand new Coolant T. When putting this in place, we're going to start with the smaller tube first. We'll slide it right on there, make sure it's locked in position, and then we'll bring it all the way back to where it connects onto the heater core. Listen for a nice click, give that a tug to make sure it is secure. Get that aligned with the tube coming from the heater core on that firewall and press it into position. Once again, we're listening for a click. We'll give it a tug to make sure that's secure as well. There it is. Now we can move along to resecuring that final hose. Line it up. Press it in, listen for a click, give it a tug to make sure it's completely secure. Double check this area to make sure the hose is secured in its mounting bracket. Okay friends, now it's time to fill the cooling system. What you'll find is along the top of the coolant reservoir, I have a specialty coolant filling tool here. If you don't have one of those, you can also use a funnel. The only problem with using a funnel is it's common to have a lot of air bubbles inside of the system, and it will take a lot longer to burp them out. If you have this specialty tool, it'll create vacuum and then draw the coolant into the cooling system as needed. Now, with using a vacuum system like this, what you can also do is watch the gauge. If you find that the gauge starts dropping into the yellow, or even worse, into the red, that means you have a leak someplace. You need to diagnose it and you need to fix it before you continue filling. I'll let this sit like this for approximately a minute, just so I can ensure there is no leaks before I continue filling. Alright, at this point we can continue on filling the cooling system. When you do this, you can either use Dexcool coolant or you can use a universal coolant. Whatever you do, make sure it is not a concentrate. It needs to either be pre-mixed or mixed by you as a 50-50 mixture. At this point, our tool is drawing the coolant into the system, and it's making sure that no air is making its way in as well. When you're filling the coolant reservoir, you don't necessarily need to go all the way up to the top. Just pay attention along the side. That's where you'll find the fill chart. Now at this point, we have our coolant filled up to the cold range, right up inside here. That looks perfect. I'll set my tool aside. At this point, we can continue on to installing our coolant reservoir cap. We'll screw this all the way on until it feels as though it's bottomed out. Once you've done this, you can continue on inside the vehicle. Start it up. Put the key in the hot range and the blower motor on high. Let the vehicle run for a while. We want to make sure that we have plenty of heat coming out of the vents, and you also want to make sure that the cooling fan along the front of the vehicle turns on as well. After that, go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.